What is going on, guys? It's about 7:30 right now, and sun's starting to come up to my left, and it is a beautiful, beautiful morning. It was a full moon last night, I believe, or it's a full moon tonight, I'm not sure. So as beautiful and still and calm it is, I don't think a topwater bite's gonna work very well. You know, the fish were up all night feeding on the surface when the moon comes up like that, and just feeding in general, so it makes a topwater bite very, very difficult sometimes. So I think we might just skip over the topwater bite completely this morning and go straight to hucking and chucking some swim baits. Right here, 6-inch spool tech tied on, and we're gonna just slow roll this sucker around docks and shallow flat areas, and then maybe we'll move to bridges later in the day. But you know, right now docks are gonna be our primary target. But it should be a good morning. It's very beautiful out, very calm. You know, I wish a topwater bite would work, but you know, this time of year it's very difficult to get a good bite going together on a topwater. And with full moon last night and the sun's already peeking out of the clouds very, very early this morning, that's okay though. I'm ready to catch some fish. Hopefully we can get on some good ones this morning. There's the fish. It's a little snook. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? How is that even possible? Can I win an award for the smallest fish caught on a spool tech right there, maybe? I don't even. He's a very, I don't know, very aggressive snook. I'll say that about him. But first fish of the morning, little squeaker, tiny one that just ate a 6-inch swim bait. Whatever. Oh. There he goes. Hate to release him like that, but he was firing off. What the heck? Another little snook just came up and tried to bite her right next to the boat, and he just grabbed onto the tail and was shaking his head with it in his mouth. Oh, I just scared a giant snook out from underneath there. Gosh, that sucks. Dang it, dude. Whew. That stings a little bit. Alright, doing a little change up right here, trying a new color just for the moment. In spool tech, this is a Gunsmoke, I think it is. And we're just going to keep slow rolling and looking for fish and also make them blind cast. And we'll see if this new color works as well. There's actually several, holy crap, not several. There's about 10 to 12 snooks sitting up here in this little flat. I'm going to walk down so quietly and try not to make any vibrations. It looks like some of them are already onto it. And pick up this jerkbait right here. Some of them spooked, but there's still quite a few going. One inspected the jerkbait, but he didn't want to hit it. Whatever, they're not very big snook, but I'll try to throw a spool tech at him and see what happens. A little snook cruising in front of me. I don't know if he's going to be big enough to eat the spool tech. Alright, so I decided to try something a little different. You know, I've been throwing twitch baits and shrimp. Right here, this is just a little 4-inch Kitech on a jig head. And I've been sitting here watching these snook while I'm fishing, throwing the spool tech. And I noticed they're eating really little glass minnows. God, the second I landed, a barracuda hit it. God. There's a snook sitting right in front of the boat. I'm trying to get this cuda in and re-throw at this snook here. Okay, thanks, buddy. Throw him out the backside, and that scared the snook. God, stinking barracuda. That's not what I expected. It literally landed, and the barracuda ate it the second it touched the water. He swam over and grabbed it. Okay. Well, I need a new Kitech, and that was literally my first cast with it. Nice snook hanging out in front of me, about 15 yards. Probably spooked him. Alright, well, the snook turned his head to the Kitech, The cuda didn't, but the snook did. But I'm trying to catch a snook. And so when a fish turns its head from a lure, specifically a certain color, that kind of tells me maybe I need to throw something different. So even though I literally just put this Kitech on probably 2 minutes ago, I'm going to take it off and put a different color on if that snook turned its head to it. You know, I like to listen to what the fish are telling me. So I'm going to go root beer. Root beer and chartreuse. It's a great dirty watercolor here. On. What do I got on here? This might be a cuda or a jack. Jack. Alright. We're running through the fish we don't want to catch right now. Little baby jack crevalle right there. Alright, the wind's picked up pretty much out of nowhere, and it's made sight fishing not an option anymore because there's too much chop on the surface to really see these snook. And I don't even have that much sunlight because it's very, very overcast now that these little stormy clouds have blown in. So, DOA shrimp, gonna be skipping docks for a little bit. Skipping mangroves, skipping docks. That is the mission for right now. And see if we can catch a few more snook before we call it a day. It's been a lot of dink fest today for sure. There's the fish. Snook. There we go. Grab my net here. Alright, second snook of the day, about the same size as the first one. Let me show you how bad this snook just absolutely choked that lure here. He engulfed that one. I'll show you something pretty cool here. If you guys are new to using artificial shrimp or things with single jig hooks, a very easy way to unhook them. They get swallowed like that. You can just push your finger in and push straight back on the hook and it'll pop right out like that. There we go, little baby snook right there. Hopefully we can catch a bigger one. You know, dock fishing, you catch a lot of fish around this size, but you can catch 30+ inch snook throwing underneath dock shrimp. So, bigger one is in the future, hopefully. Off he goes. Okay, I'm gonna try to kind of explain what I'm doing here. So I'm gonna just pitch it right up underneath this dock, just a little skip cast, and that's between those two pilings right there. And I'm gonna let it sink all the way to the bottom. And people, you know, they talk about me messing with my trolling motor a lot, but I do it kind of for time management sake, where I'm letting this sink now, and it's just sitting still on the bottom. And a lot of times what happens is, you know, whether the snook are sitting between those pilings, or maybe they're out in the middle over here, you give it time to fall, and they might see it shimmering, and then when it's on the bottom, it's sitting there in the mud, and they come over and they look at it. And a lot of times they'll hit it when it's sitting completely still, or when you first twitch it out, they might grab it. And so we're just going to be repeating that process really here. And I'm almost just dragging this thing across the bottom. If you were like dragging a jig for bass, just letting it dig through the mud here. And so I'll let it drag and just bounce it up a little bit. And once I get it out from the dock a couple of feet, I'll pick it up pretty quick and then put it underneath the next section there. Alright, I am calling it a day. It's about 12 o'clock right now. Got out around 7 a.m. You know, it was a very fun day. At least catching some fish, you know, it's just thankful and appreciative getting out and being able to catch some fish, even if they're not always giants. You know, you'd like to catch giants, but right now, this time of year, the fishing's very, very difficult, I would say, especially for snook. A lot of people, they don't even try to fish for snook this time of year because it is a very, very hard time to catch them. You know, I may keep throwing for snook every once in a while, but I think I might shift my direction and target some different fish until it really starts to warm up and they start to pick up. You know, it is getting better already, but I really want to target some different things, and I think I'm going to focus a lot of attention on trying to catch some big jack crevalle right now, because I've seen them around, and I just got to put in the time and see if I can catch them. I got that new Saragossa, which is big enough to really handle those big giant brutes. So I think that might be the next fish that I'm going to spend some considerable amount of time trying to catch. You know, if you guys have any suggestions about what you'd like to see me target or fish for, leave it below, man. I really take that stuff in. I know a lot of people, they've been wanting me to go offshore and fish. The fact of the matter is I fish in an 18-foot boat that sits a foot above the water. Unless it's perfectly flat out, I'm not gonna take my boat out in the ocean. You know, I'd really like to. In the summer when it gets real slick out there, I'm probably gonna try to go out and catch some dolphin, bonita, kingfish, whatever. I think that'd be a ton of fun. But leave some suggestions below what you think I should target, whether it's trout, redfish, bass, snook. Even if it's something you want to see me travel, maybe eventually I'll get to do it. But I appreciate you guys. Today was fun, even if it wasn't a amazing day. It was fun at least being out on the boat. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.